Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 897, we have Raffine, the Scheming Seer. Now, white, blue, black, we'll get into my thoughts as soon as we read it. For a Sphinx Demon, is that the first time that combo's ever been? Anyway, 1/4 flying, ward 1. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creature. Okay, I've got to read the reminder here because connive is a new one. Apparently, each family has a new ability. So, to connive X, draw X cards, then discard X cards. Then you put a +1/+1 counter on that creature for each non-land card discarded this way. So only one of your attacking creatures are going to connive. So, but they're going to connive the number equal to the number of attackers that you have. So if you attack for 3, you get to connive 3. So you're drawing and discarding. Can't hurt, right? Well, two things popped in my mind the very first time I read this card. Number one, the connive mechanic. We're going to be drawing it and discarding, which begs the Psychosis Crawler. Psychosis Crawler is a little out of focus. There we go. Psychosis Crawler is one of 5 creatures in the deck that doesn't do what my theme was. So, white, blue, black, creatures that you want to attack. So number 1, you want creatures to attack, and if you're just going all aggro out with your creatures, then they're probably going to die in combat. So we got to find a way for our creatures to live through combat. Shadow. Yes, it is not a strategically smart move because I don't have a lot of blockers. But the first place my mind went to was white, blue, and black were the shadow colors back in Tempest. So I went, I don't want to say tribal shadow, but yeah, that's pretty much what I did. All the shadow creatures I could find, like Dalthy Ghoul, Soltari Crusader. Now, Time Spiral revisited a lot of old mechanics, so there was some new shadow creatures in Time Spiral as well. Drifter Ildal, Faceless Devourer, Augur Ilvek, Dalthy Jackal. Now, we'll get to the non-shadow creatures here after this, but like the new Dalthy Voidwalker, it's a great card. Stronghold Overseer. This is the only creature in the game to have both flying and shadow. Two really good evasion abilities. So, it just can't be blocked. And I love that ability. The creatures with Shadow Pump and creatures without Shadow get smaller, so that's nice. Thalco Sentry, Soltari Lancer, Dalthy Cutthroat, Luteril Core. These are just shadow bodies. They are not getting blocked. The Horror, Deceiver, Slayer, Scout, Mercenary, Priest, Spirit and Doll, Dalthy Warlord. Power equal number of creatures with Shadow in play. Soltari Monk, Thalakos Misfolk, and the Trooper. So those are the innately shadowy creatures. Now, I thought about the enchantment granting shadow, but it kind of maybe it should be in here. It's not. Maybe it should be in here simply because I can turn an attacker. I can give an attacker shadow and then block it, maybe. I don't know. We do have some that don't innately have shadow, like Joda's Avenger. You can give it shadow. Trespasser Ilvek, you can grant shadow. Soltari Emissary and Thalakos Drifters, you can have them gain shadow. So we've got all these shadow creatures that are attacking, not blocking, and we get to connive, draw and discard, and add +1 counters. And we're adding +1 counters to shadow creatures, so they're going to do more damage. So if they're going to do more damage, we might as well put a Phyresis on one and pump it up. Snake Cult Initiation works a little differently. It's just if it deals even 1 combat damage, they get 3 poison counters. Endless Scream is a funny aura that a lot of people don't remember. We all remember Howl from Beyond from way back. It was an instant that, just gave it +X to end of turn. Endless Scream gets overlooked because it gets compared with that. This is an aura. It is permanent. Yeah. Let's look at some mana, shall we? As you saw, most of the deck is pretty low to the ground, so there's not a whole lot. I mean, we've got an Ornithopter of Paradise. I like it being a creature because it's a non-shadow creature that can block as well. A couple of Clue Stones and a Locket. That's pretty much it. But now, card draw. We have an insane amount of card draw. In addition to the Connive, we have like Reconnaissance Mission. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Which is the same thing as Coastal Piracy. Which is, I mean, it's just a lot of card draw. The Commander's Insight draws X cards. Painful Truce, we are in 3 colors. Cut of the Prophets, draw X and lose X. So, now, I really like the Rogues Gallery. We are playing 3 colors here. This is one of those cards you want to play in a multicolor deck. So for 1 card, we get to pretty much raise dead 3 creatures. And we're going to have creatures in the graveyard because we're conniving, we're drawing, we're discarding. So, Make a Stand is our anti-wrath card, because it's once you start populating the board with small shadow creatures and people realize they just can't block, they tend to get dead. Mirror Weave. I love this being an instant. Mirror Weave's one of my favorite offensive and defensive spells. Each other creature becomes a copy of target non-legendary creature at end of turn. So, if somebody is swinging out at you knowing you can't block because all you have is shadow creatures, you can Mirror Weave all creatures to the biggest creature and we all just kill each other. Or whatever. Or offensively. I mean, it's you declare attackers, and then you go to declare blockers that don't have shadow, they can't block, and then afterwards you Mirror Weave and turn into something big. I don't know. I like Mirror Weave. Now, the Sorin the Vengeful Bloodlord is the only walker in the deck. I love your creatures have lifelink as long as it's your turn. We are going to need that extra life cushion because not all of our creatures can block, The +2, it's just we're doing it just to get a plus, okay? And then getting a creature back is not bad. It's not bad at all. We go into our removal. Now, Void Rend, if this feels like a card, if you are in the colors, you want it. It's an uncounterable Vindicate. Granted, it cost blue instead of the colors for Vindicate, but that is outstanding. Obscure Charm, another new card. I've got that with the removal because 2 of the 3 modes are removal. You counter an instant or sorcery or you pop a creature. Return a multicolor permanent card. That's in this deck, I don't think is even an option. We also have the Esper Charm. Destroy an enchantment, draw 2, or target player just... that last one we're probably never going to use. We're probably going to nuke an enchantment or draw 2 cards with it. Of course, then we have Negate, Disenchant, Rebuff the Wicked, Soul Snare, Temporal Isolation. That's kind of neat. Prevent all damage that would be dealt by the creature, so it turns a creature into a shadow blocker. But also for those commanders that are just specifically going to commander damage you out, and that's their thing. Hey, here's an R. But I have an offer you can't refuse. This thing is the truth. I love this card. Counter target non-creature spell. They get 2 treasure, sure. Uh, the bird one, whose names is escaping me right now. It's the bird. Help me out. It's 1 mana, counters a limited, and they get a 2/2 flyer. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm drawing a blank. But 1 mana counters, non-creature spells. In our format, that's kind of, that's kind of what we want to do anyway. I have a Perish, because, why not? Green's a popular creature color, and yeah. And then, of course, we have player removal, Debt to the Deathless, because it's just, ooh. It also provides that life cushion that we need. If we can't do it for all the marbles, and you can only do it for 5 or whatever, that's still a bunch of life that you're cushioning yourself so that your shadow creatures can do that work. Which leads us to our non-basic lands. So we're going to roll through these. The Goldmire Bridge, Azorius Guildgate, Scoured Barrens, Tranquil Cove, Dismal Backwater, Evolving Wilds and Command Tower, Dimir Guildgate, Meandering River, Sigiria Refuge, Orzhov Guildgate, Terramorphic Expanse, Temple of Silence, Juaral Refuge. Now, a couple of these we don't want to forget. The Arcane Sanctum. This was the Shards of Alara cycle of 3 color, and they are all back. So, if you're building these New Capenna decks, don't forget your Shards of Alara tri-lands. Also, your Shards of Alara block panoramas that lets you go search for. These are pretty good because, 3. And then, all the way back in Planeshift, we had the Lair lands from the 5 dragons. So, also, and these don't come into play tapped. You have to bounce a non-lair land. Okay. So, it gives you a chance to reset maybe your Vivids or your Thrivings or whatever. So, that is it for Rafine. I don't know. But I haven't built an all-shadow deck as of that point. So, that was what I did. It's kind of different. So let's go put this on the wall, shall we? Did I move that chair enough? Yeah. So 897 gets put onto the wall. And that is it for today. I do appreciate it. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, I think we are going to shuffle and cut.